Over the past few years, something subtle has happened inside motorcycle dealerships across America. The bikes look better than ever, bigger screens, more rider modes, advanced suspension, premium paint, touring comfort that rivals luxury cars. On paper, this should be the golden era of motorcycling. But then you look at the price tag, and for many riders, that's where the excitement pauses. 5 years ago, a well-equipped touring motorcycle felt expensive. Today, some models are priced in territory that used to belong to small cars and fully loaded trucks. Even mid-size bikes have climbed into ranges that would have seemed unrealistic not long ago. So the real question is not whether motorcycles are better than they used to be. The real question is this: have motorcycle prices finally gone too far? To answer that, we have to zoom out and look at how we got here. Over the last decade, manufacturers have steadily pushed their bikes upmarket, adding more technology, more safety features, larger engines, bigger frames, and more comfort. Emissions regulations tightened, electronics became standard, and development costs increased. Materials got more expensive, shipping costs surged, supply chains tightened, then inflation hit hard. Steel went up, labor went up, transportation went up. And when production slowed globally, limited inventory gave manufacturers pricing power they had not seen in years. For a while, the market absorbed it. Demand stayed strong. Stimulus money flowed. People wanted experiences. Travel was restricted, so recreational purchases surged. Motorcycles benefited from that wave. But that wave did not last forever. Today, average manufacturers suggested retail prices across many segments have climbed dramatically compared to just 5 or 6 years ago. And while the bikes may justify part of that increase through technology and refinement, the buyer's financial reality has also changed. Interest rates are no longer near historic lows. Monthly payments look different now. A motorcycle that once felt manageable over a 5-year loan suddenly stretches into 6 or 7 years to keep payments comfortable. Insurance premiums have risen, parts and service costs have increased. Even basic ownership expenses are not what they used to be. For a large portion of the core motorcycle audience, riders in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, financial decision-making has shifted. Many are on fixed incomes. Many are thinking about retirement planning. Many already own a motorcycle that runs perfectly well. The emotional pull to upgrade is competing with financial caution. When that happens, hesitation enters the market. You may not see empty showrooms, but you might notice bikes staying on the floor a little longer. Inventory is aging slightly more than it did during the peak buying cycle. Dealers are managing floor space more carefully. Here is something most casual buyers do not think about. Dealerships do not simply own that inventory. Many rely on floor plan financing. That means they are borrowing money to hold those motorcycles until they sell. When interest rates rise, holding unsold inventory becomes more expensive. So, higher manufacturers suggested retail prices do not just affect buyers. They increase financial pressure across the entire chain. If a bike is priced high and buyers hesitate, that unit sits longer. The longer it sits, the more it costs the dealer. Eventually, incentives appear, promotions appear. Quiet discounts begin to surface. But those adjustments do not happen overnight. And that is where we may be right now. Not in a collapse, not in a panic, but in a cooling phase. The buyer mindset has shifted. There was a time when upgrading every few years felt normal. Trade in the old model, roll over into the newest one, enjoy the improvements. But as price tags rise and financing stretches, many riders are asking a different question. Do I really need the newest model? Modern motorcycles are incredibly reliable. Engines last longer. Maintenance intervals are wider. Technology ages more slowly than it used to. A 5-year-old touring bike still feels modern. A well-maintained 10-year-old machine still delivers an outstanding riding experience. That reduces urgency. When urgency drops, price sensitivity increases. And when price sensitivity increases, markets adjust. Another factor is generational economics. Younger potential riders are entering adulthood in a very different financial environment than previous generations. Student debt levels are higher, housing costs are higher, urban living is more common, insurance costs are steeper. Discretionary income is not as flexible. For someone in their 20s or early 30s, committing to a large recreational loan may not feel realistic right now. So the industry faces pressure from two sides. On one side, core riders are becoming more cautious about large upgrades. On the other side, new entrants are not flooding in at the same rate needed to replace them. That does not mean motorcycling is disappearing. Far from it. But it does mean the growth assumptions of the past few years may not hold. When prices rise faster than income confidence, a ceiling eventually forms. The question is whether we are at that ceiling now. There are signs worth paying attention to. Used motorcycles are becoming more attractive. Buyers who might have purchased new are exploring 1 or 2-year-old models instead. Depreciation works in their favor. Monthly payments fall and insurance often drops. The experience remains nearly identical. Dealers, in turn, must balance new inventory with growing used interest. Manufacturers face their own balancing act. Continue pushing premium positioning and risk pricing out a segment of buyers, or introduce more accessible models to stabilize volume? Globally, we already see affordability playing a larger role. Smaller displacement bikes dominate many markets. Efficient, practical models sell in massive numbers overseas. In the United States, the market has traditionally leaned toward larger, premium motorcycles. But even that cultural preference can evolve under economic pressure. None of this suggests that high-end motorcycles will vanish. There will always be demand for premium touring machines, high-performance models, and fully loaded cruisers. But demand at higher price points tends to narrow. If sales volume softens, pricing strategies adjust. Incentives increase. Model refresh cycles stretch. Production planning becomes more conservative, and for buyers watching closely, that can create opportunity. Historically, markets move in cycles. Expansion. Peak pricing. Correction. Stabilization. We may not be in a dramatic downturn, but we may be transitioning from peak pricing enthusiasm to cautious recalibration. The most important thing to understand is that markets do not respond instantly. They shift gradually. First, buyer hesitation, then longer inventory cycles, then incentives, then pricing corrections or added value packages. If you have been feeling like motorcycles are simply more expensive than they should be, you are not alone in that observation. Many riders are quietly asking the same question, but here is the balanced perspective. Motorcycles today genuinely offer more technology, safety, comfort, and refinement than ever before. Part of the higher price reflects real advancement. Part reflects economic inflation. And part reflects strategic positioning toward premium segments. The tension comes when those three forces outpace what buyers feel comfortable paying. So have motorcycle prices finally gone too far? The honest answer is this: they may have reached a point where growth slows and correction becomes necessary. Not a collapse, not a crisis, but a recalibration. If interest rates stabilize and incomes strengthen, the market can absorb current pricing levels more easily. If economic pressure persists, we may see increased incentives, stronger used markets, and more emphasis on affordable models. For riders, this moment may require patience. If you are considering buying, watching inventory trends and seasonal promotions could pay off. If you already own a bike you love, holding on to it a little longer may make perfect financial sense. Markets adjust. Industries adapt. Buyers ultimately decide. And right now, buyers appear to be thinking more carefully than they have in years. That alone tells you something important. The era of automatic upgrades may be slowing, and whether that becomes a brief pause or a longer shift will depend on what happens next, not just with motorcycles, but with the broader economy that shapes every purchase decision. One thing is clear: the conversation around price has officially entered the spotlight. And once buyers begin asking whether something has gone too far, the market always listens.